Hi, job seekers. You're welcome to yet another video in the series of videos in our 30-day job challenge with Job Network Nigeria. In today's video, we'll be talking about job applications and research. And as always, I remain Bridget, your course instructor. When you're researching the company, there are three important things that you need to look out for. You need to look out for their mission and values. You need to look out for their competitors and industry trends. And then you need to look out for recent news. Now, their mission and values. What is the mission and values of this organization? Let's say, for instance, you're applying to a spa, for example, as maybe an admin officer or something like that. And the mission of that spa is something like helping people to relax, helping people to feel better, for example. Now you know that their mission is to help people feel better. You align yourself and tailor your cover letter in a way that shows that you've researched that organization and that you being given the opportunity to work as an administrative officer in that spa is going to help you to achieve their mission of helping people feel better, which obviously they do via their spa treatments. So that is just a glimpse of what I'm trying to say. Once you research the company and you know what their mission and value is, you look for a way to align yourself to the mission and values of that organization. Then secondly, their competitors and industry trends. Whatever sector it is you're in, they are not the only ones. They have competitors. So what are their competitors doing that is giving them an edge over the people you're applying to or the company you're applying to? And how can you step up? How can you help the company you're applying to step up in their game as well? These are things you research about. And then you know that, okay, this is maybe you're a social media manager for maybe a hair brand, someone that sells hair, for example, or a business that sells hair, and you look at what other hair vendors are doing, and then you pick out a thing or two from going through their platform. And then when you're writing your cover letter, you bring in these things and say, you've researched the company, you've researched similar businesses, and this and this and this. You give them points of things that you're going to be bringing in that is going to help them stand out in the market, stand out in their industry, right? And then the third one is their latest news. What is going on? With Job Network Nigeria currently, our latest news is that we are on this 30-day job challenge. That is our latest news. So you know what is actually happening or what is currently happening in the company, and you try to align yourself to that. Always pick out these things to show them or to show the recruiter that you've done your assignments, you've done your homework, you know about them, right? And these are what you're going to be bringing on board to help them stand a greater chance or to help them have a better edge over their competitors in the same industry. I hope you understand what I mean. Now, what is job applications all about? Job applications is all about researching the company, tailoring your CV to meet the job, and even searching for jobs on job board. Is literally everything from when you develop an interest in a particular role to when you finally land that role. Everything that you do within this period is what we call job application, or is what we categorize under job application. So let's say for starters, you're interested in our usual example, an accounting role. And then because you're interested in an accounting role, and let's assume that by now you're already an accountant, probably done with school or even maybe ICANN certified. And then because you're interested in this role, you then go on to look for these jobs, to look for jobs in this field, jobs with this job title. And then what you do is possibly go on job sites like LinkedIn and the rest, and then set alerts for those jobs. I already showed you how you can set alerts on LinkedIn. And then after that, the next thing is you actually apply for a job. Let's say you've set an alert already, and then you probably get an email notification about a recent job that was posted for that position. And then you go on to check that out. So when you do that, what you're doing is trying to apply for the job. And in the course of applying for the job, You have to read the job description carefully. You have to read the details of the job carefully and find out their requirements before then going ahead to tailor your CV and your cover letter, just as I taught you earlier, to match with the specific descriptions and the specific keywords that they use in the job so that you can pass, or so that your CV can pass the ATS system. Another way you can also get jobs aside setting alerts on LinkedIn is via company websites. For instance, you have interest in working with, let's say, Access Bank, for example. You can go to their recruitment website and then look for positions that are currently open and positions that they are employing for or recruiting for, and then apply specifically to those positions. So company websites are another place where you can look for jobs. And then job boards like our job website, jobnetworknigeria.com. We post jobs in every field and in every location on a daily basis. So you can always visit our job website to see the latest updates of jobs available both in your industry and within your location. And you can also join our Telegram channel as well and our WhatsApp community where we update jobs on a daily basis. So job boards, company websites is another place where you can get job opportunities aside the LinkedIn method that we have showed you before. And again, there's always referral, there's always networking. Let's say you have a contact that is working somewhere. You can always ask your contact, oh, I'm looking for a job in so field. And if the person happens to come across something related to that, they can let you know. So when you're searching for a job, you should not only limit yourself to one method alone. Also reach out to people, reach out to your contacts online and offline. Online, that is your online community, the people you mingle with online. Reach out to them, tell them you're in search of a job. The same thing with your offline community as well. Tell the people around you you're searching for a job, this is the kind of job you're looking for. And you never can tell. Somebody might have an opening in their organization. A friend of yours might have an opening in their organization. And because they know that you're looking for a job, they would always refer you to that job. So networking is another way you can land jobs. Job boards, like a platform, is another way you can land job. And then the LinkedIn that we had already showed you is another way you can land jobs as well. So this is basically it about job applications. And like I said earlier, always ensure that you read the job description carefully. You tailor your CV and cover letter to meet the job, and then you follow instructions specifically. If it's a Google Doc form, and you're filling the form and there's a space for you to upload your CV or your cover letter or your portfolio, do so. Always ensure that you fill in every single detail on the Google Doc form. And if it's an email, always ensure that you don't just send your CV as an email attachment alone without adding your cover letter. These things are very, very important. And one more thing you should know is when you're applying for a job, don't limit yourself to your particular job title. Let's say, for example, you're into writing, you're probably a copywriter or something. You would see job titles that don't exactly sound like your job title or are not exactly your job title, but they are related to what you do and they are something you can definitely do. You can maybe, since you're a copywriter, you can see other job titles like content writer, brand storyteller, creative writer. You see, they are all related. It's all about writing. You don't have to be too rigid and say, because it's not copywriting, I'm not going to apply. Is it about writing or is it not? So long as you have experience in writing, the most important thing is that you read the job description. Forget about the title. If the job description matches what you already do, then go ahead and shoot your shot. Apply for that role. Don't be too rigid and say, because the job title is not copywriting, I'm not going to apply. Don't do that to yourself because you're only limiting your chances. It's just like if you're a social media manager, for instance, you'd see roles like community management, you'll see roles like content strategist, you'll see roles like content creation. Those are roles that are similar to social media management because there are things that you're probably already doing. You can even see art specialists. And if as a social media manager, you were already running ads, then you can apply for an art specialist role. You don't need to limit yourself and say, because it's not social media manager, I will not apply. Don't do that to yourself. Don't do that to yourself. Always go ahead, read the job description, set similar alerts. You can even go online and Google related job titles to what I do. For example, like I use copywriter as an example. You can say, ask Google, what are the job titles that are related to copywriting? And it's going to give you a drop down. So when you're searching for jobs, you don't only search copywriting, you also search for those other titles as well in order to increase your chances of landing a job. Now, I'd always say quality over quantity. It's better that you take your time and apply well to a job than you're applying randomly and then you're not doing due diligence to read about the organization or read about the job. You're just applying however you don't care. It's not good. I'd always say quality over quantity, but at the same time, the number of jobs you apply for increases your chances. There is no way you would apply for 10 jobs in a day, times 7 days in a week, times 4 weeks in a month, that by the end of that month you would not land even one interview. It's not possible. Except you're just applying without tailoring your CV, without doing your due diligence and ensuring that you research the company or putting yourself in alignment to what the company needs. But so long as you're doing that, you will definitely get offers. So I'm going to encourage you to not just apply to one job title as well, set similar job alerts and apply to as many as you can. And again, it's not just about applying. You have to remember the jobs you applied for, because it's not nice that you get an interview and you don't even remember when you applied for the job. You don't even remember what the job is about, which is where a job tracker comes in. You need to have a job tracker, probably like an Excel sheet or a Google Doc form. You have to have somewhere where you're recording these jobs. And don't even worry about that. I'm going to show you my screen and show you how to create a job tracker so that you can keep track of the jobs you apply for and follow up on each of them. Okay, now let me share my screen with you guys. So this is how you create a job tracker. You can either do this with a Google sheet or a Microsoft Excel sheet, either way. So when you're creating your job tracker, whether it's your Google Sheets or your Microsoft Excel sheets, you just open it up and then on the columns you designate columns for company, job title, job source, just as you're seeing on my screen. So basically, there's company, there's job title, there's job source, there's date applied, status, next step, and contact person. The essence of this is that it helps you to keep track of every job you apply for. So let's say I just applied for a job, and let's say I applied for the job at Access Bank. So I've applied for a job at Access Bank. I'm going to also come here to do what is the job title that I applied for. And for the purpose of this, let's assume I applied for sales representative, for instance. And then for job source, the job source is where did I see the job. So let's assume I saw it on the company website. So you just put wherever it is you saw the job, you should document that under job source. And then date applied, when did I apply for this job? So let's say I applied for this job the day before yesterday, that was 15th. So 15th of September 2025. Okay, and then the status, is it that I just applied, is it that I bookmarked it or like saved it to come back and apply later, or is it that I've already had an interview with them? Whatever the status is. So if you've already applied for the job, I can just use applied, and then if they reach out to me for interview, and then after the interview I can come back here and make either a slash and put interviewed, for instance, or I can go down to the next column and then put interviewed, for instance, just to show that we are still referring to the same job. right? So basically, the status, you should always update the status at every point in time. And then the next step, if you just applied, your next step should probably be interview, or let's use waiting for interview, for example. Or if you've already interviewed, and what is your next step? Your next step at this point should now be maybe waiting for feedback, right? That is after you've interviewed. So you should always come back to update your job tracker, and you're updating both the status and the next step. And then the contact person is, who do you contact if you need to reach out to them? Let's say, for example, you have to send a follow-up email. Maybe you applied and then you've waited for a while, you've not heard from them, so you need to follow up. Who do you follow up with? Who do you send the email to? Many times you apply via their email, you send your applications via their email. So if you have their email, you can just put it there. So if the email is accessbank at gmail.com, for instance, at gmail.com, at gmail, okay, accessbank, I think I made a mistake here, at gmail.com. Yeah, so you can just do that, and then that's basically it. The contact person that you're reaching out to, if you know the name of the person, you can always use that alongside the email. But in this case, we don't have a contact name, so we just use the email that we are going to reach out to. So if we have applied and we are waiting for interview and it's up to 3 weeks, we've not heard feedback, we can always send an email telling them, okay, I applied for the job on so date and I'm yet to get feedback. Or if we've already interviewed and they are yet to get back to us, we can always reach out as well and be like, we interviewed for this position on this date and we're yet to get back or hear back from you. So that's the essence of a job tracker. It's basically to track the jobs you've applied for, because like I said earlier, it wouldn't make sense if you applied for a job and then after some time you now get feedback from the company, maybe they're inviting you for interview or something, and you've forgotten all about the job because it probably had taken a while and you can't even remember when you applied. And again, because you've been advised to apply consistently, you might not be able to remember. If your target is to apply to maybe 10 jobs in a day, and then if you don't have a job tracker to track all of the jobs that you're applying for, you might not remember when exactly you had applied for a particular job, and they'll call you, and that's just it. So that is the essence of having a job tracker. I hope you understand. So just give this video a like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.